アレスよ、新たなる伝説を呼び起こせ。セガサターン版ファンタジー RPG ルナシルバースターストーリー9月上旬発売予定。
Ah, Lunar, a name that probably sends a warm tingle through your giblets, assuming you grew up in the golden era of JRPGs. Before Final Fantasy was throwing out ever longer cutscenes and Dragon Quest was... Actually, I have nothing bad to say about Dragon Quest. Lunar stood as one of the titans of the RPG space in the 90s, with heartfelt storytelling that met some of the most charming 2D sprite work ever burned onto a series of discs. Originally developed by Game Arts and Studio Alex, Lunar the Silver Star hit the Sega CD in 1992, becoming one of the defining RPGs of its generation. A sequel, Lunar Eternal Blue, followed in 1994, cementing the series as a cult classic. But let's be honest, who among us actually has a Sega CD? It was a moment of weakness. Which is why most of us got to experience Lunar for the first time when the badasses at Working Designs remade the games for the PlayStation. Lunar Silver Star Story Complete and Lunar Eternal Blue Complete. Now, these weren't just simple ports either, they were fully reimagined, featuring full motion video animated cutscenes, an improved score, and some of the best voice acting ever heard on the PlayStation 1. Yes, even with the occasional cheesy delivery and very 90s jokes, I feel confident saying that. But Lunar isn't just about the beautiful world and lovable characters. These games are challenging, packed with brutal bosses, sneaky difficulty spikes, and a combat system that rewards strategy over brute force. And so, with it being 2025 and the Lunar remakes are just right around the corner, there's no better time to give these games a go. Much like I did with the Golden Sun games getting added to Nintendo Switch Online, I wanted to put together a tips and tricks video for the Lunar remakes. Now, these games are definitely more straightforward than Golden Sun, but still have a lot to offer players new and old. So grab some mental gum, stock up on your starlights, and get ready. According to the folks over at the Lunar subreddit and myself, these are the top 10 tips and tricks for Lunar Silver Star Story Complete and Lunar Eternal Blue Complete and their relevant remakes. That's a gosh dang mouthful. Number 1, who doesn't love a free handout? NPCs in the Lunar games have some of the best dialogue out of any RPG I've ever played. They're also super chill and will often give out useful tips, extra money, items, weird shit like that. And sometimes their dialogue changes depending on how many times you talk to them. You may just learn something new about the world around you that you would have never normally known, or you may just learn absolutely useless information. The fact is, it's there and Working Designs wrote it and made it happen. Number 2, MP conservation is bullshit. The Lunar games are notorious for how few MP restoring items are available in the early game. And considering that Silver Star Story Complete is notoriously difficult when it comes to enemy damage, you'll be healing a lot. The smart idea would be to save all your MP for bosses and tougher fights and just use healing items instead of using Luna's spells to heal you. But we're not here for smart ideas. On the other hand, you will absolutely want to spam your skills to take out large groups of enemies. They will hit you hard, and they will ruin your day. Alex's sword dance ability will become your go-to move, and you'll like it. Number 3, no such thing as being too overleveled. Okay, this one might be a bit of my personal bias leaking in, but I truly think that there's no such thing as being overleveled in the Lunar games. I've mentioned it before, and I'll probably mention it again, these games are difficult. For some reason, the team at Working Designs decided to make the enemies hit harder on the PlayStation remakes than in the original versions. So the more HP you have, the better equipped you'll be. It's also a weird comparison because they don't increase the overall HP of the enemies, just the overall damage they do. So instead of an early enemy doing 3 damage, they're doing almost 10, 11 points of damage, and you don't have the health for that. Also, you'll have a ton of money for healing items and gear upgrades, so maybe do it. Number 4, stats will absolutely change the game. Spells like Vigor and Blue Dragon Palm can massively boost your damage output, even if you're a bit lacking in the gear department. You should also seriously consider using the debuff spells that are available on bosses. Lunar is one of the few games where you can actually debuff a boss, and it matters. It makes boss battles so much simpler for your items, your spells, and your HP, and your overall sanity. Number 5, know when to hold them and when to get the f*** out. It is not always worth fighting, especially in dungeons with back-to-back battles and no available healing. You're gonna be fighting all the time. Like, all the time. Feel free to run at your leisure. Number 6, stats on stats on stats on stats on stats on. Lunar is so dang neat when it comes to weapons. Most gear provides you with basic attack stat increases, sure, but a lot of late game weapons include some additional skills to increase your overall power in battle. For example, let's take a look at the Greatsword and Dine's Sword. The Greatsword increases your attack by 110 and has no other discernible stats or skills. But then compare that to Dine's Sword, which increases your attack by 130, so already a 20-point boost, and it boosts your Glow Beam skill. That's f***ing neat. Number 7, sell your junk. Have I mentioned that money in this game is really, really limited? And since upgrading your gear is critical to, surviving, you should take any opportunity you can to sell your old stuff to fund your funds. Heck, sell off as many healing items as you can live without as well. One thing that I did really early game in Silver Star Story Complete was to sell off one of the early mental gums that I found to get a large load of cash. Do not do this because you don't want to be selling your MP restoring items. Even though they sell for a large amount, you will need it more than you can imagine. Number 8, tactics will save your life. Don't neglect the tactics menu. Sure, you can just hit the auto attack button and watch as the heroes beat the ever-loving shit out of their enemies, but the AI is not smart enough to do anything other than just spam the attack command. There's also no reason to just go manual mode as well, especially because the tactics won't actually target how you want them to more often than not. But sometimes it's just fun to turn on the auto attack and let the game play itself. I won't lie, I've done it. Number 9, save often. Do I even need to explain why this is on the list? Number 10, immerse yourself. Okay, I'm kidding. I lost a lot of time early game because I would get absolutely destroyed in the simplest of encounters, which is pretty normal, I guess. Damn you, working designs. But really neat is that you can just save at any point, and it's really helpful. And just don't make the same mistakes I do. Save every time you do something. Number 10, immerse yourself in the warm embrace of nostalgia that is the Lunar series. Silver Star Story and Eternal Blue are just oozing with charm, detail, killer soundtrack, engaging story, and beautiful art. And considering some of the RPGs that we had on the PlayStation at the time, it's a miracle that these games look as good as they do. So enjoy the journey, take in the world building, take that plunge and enjoy your adventure. Whether you're playing Silver Star Story Complete for the first time or revisiting Eternal Blue Complete for a nostalgic trip through one of the best RPG sequels ever made, hopefully these tips and tricks will make your adventure a little smoother. But that brings us to the big question that's been on every Lunar fan's mind for years. What's next? After the PlayStation remakes, Lunar saw a few re-releases, including a Game Boy Advance port called Lunar Legend, and the Silver Star Harmony remake for the PlayStation Portable. But let's be real, none of them quite captured the magic of the PlayStation or the Sega CD versions. And as much as we'd love a full-fledged return to the Lunar universe, Game Arts has been awfully quiet about the series. But hey, the Lunar Remaster is right around the corner at this point. At the time of recording this video, it's early March, and I think we're almost a month away from the games coming out. And I am just so gosh darn excited. I'm going to be playing these games on my Switch, hands down, that just is the right place for them for me. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to let me know down in the comments, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot of other content in the pipeline right now. I have 2 more videos related to Lunar. I have the Golden Sun video that's coming out. And there's just a lot of projects in the pipeline. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go sob into my pillow because I just remembered the ending to Lunar Eternal Blue again.